Hello, everybody. It's a strange day in the markets. Kind of like we got our rate cut. We got the USA China deal done. QT is ending. And the markets are tanking. So, what are you going to do? I don't know. Well, I apologize to everybody for things. I know there's a lot of frustration out there in the air, especially with Bitcoin, especially after hearing all the pumpers saying it'll be 250,000 by Christmas. I said, no, no, it's not going to be. So it's a lot of disappointment. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about AI impact. And this one's called Artificial Destiny. And I think a lot about this because this impacts kind of our lives, our future, etc. And I call this one, I think it's the secret to survival is those who can see reality. And a shout out to Joe Bakhti. He talks about his reality engineers. But I've always thought in life, those who survive best, do the best, are those that understand the world most closely, and those that have the tools to connect how to understand the world most closely and to anticipate what's coming. And that's the reason I make these videos. And this AI impact, as I talk about, is the biggest asteroid to ever hit this planet. And today we'll do a quick roundup for the week of everything that happened in all things AI. And it's been a pretty big week too, so let's get into it. And DBF 430, TND Tesla, Sean D, K8. Thank you all for coming. Let's get into the story. And again, when people are disappointed with the markets, it wears on me too, because I'm like a big sponge. I absorb their feelings, so I feel the pain out there, and it's been tough. It hasn't been the October people expected. But anyway, we always have AI to fall back on. And this is not financial advice. And a big thank you to everybody on Patreon too. From Daryl Anderson, great to be on Patreon with all the Uber Alpha chasers. Yeah, it's been weird. Anyway, AI Impact is its own playlist now. You can check it out there. First, we'll talk about robotaxis and bots because that is kind of the biggest news. And a lot of people were concerned about the Cybercab that's being built by Tesla. You know, if they make 1 million of them, is there even enough room in the US for 1 million of them? Well, you don't have to worry about that because guess what? This thing is going on the road. And we've seen clearly that FSD works all over the planet. It works in the Netherlands. It works in Norway, in Sweden, in Spain, I think, Italy, France. It works across USA, Canada, and Mexico. It works in Australia, probably New Zealand as well, Japan, and China. This thing works everywhere. So don't worry about not being able to sell all the Cybercabs or deploy them all. But this is happening as a big trade show in Shanghai, big global world trade show. And they will be showcasing the Cybercab November 5th through 10th. And poly market odds of the Cybercab being completely human-free, driverless, no safety driver in the passenger seat, no nothing. By Christmas, the answer is 99%. We have arrived. Everybody's very confident in that right now. And these prediction markets are almost never wrong. And this robot news got me a little bit by surprise. Basically, it's a study that revealed a growing number of Americans are forming romantic attachments with AI chatbots and robots, etc., blurring the lines between human relationships and artificial companionships. It's very bizarre. And I said, a third? Are you kidding me? Who does that? But anyway, apparently people do. That took me by surprise. I know it's very popular in places like Asia, Japan. I didn't think it hit the US. But anyway, we'll see. Drop a comment below if you have a personal relationship with a chatbot or a robot or whatever. But anyway, these things are coming. And the final piece of robot news as well. This is the new Neobot taking the world by storm. Has everybody very excited. I think it's a creepy looking, freaky thing. The memes are all over the world. And it's basically remote controlled. It's not autonomous. It's not smart. Everything it does in demos takes a long time. Somebody told me it took 5 minutes to load a dish in a dishwasher. And it was 100% teleoperated. So this is selling a dream, not reality. Do not get excited and think you can spend 20 grand and you have a robot doing all your chores around your house. It's not going to happen. And the kicker is, even if you do buy the robot for 20 grand, you got to spend $500 a month subscription for it to work. That's expensive. You can spend $500 on people to do things for you properly. Anyway, I just think it's creepy. Also, so much other stuff between that and the privacy risk and the memes, especially the bottom right one, is kind of terrifying. So keep your guns locked up if you have them. Anyway, trying to brighten the tone, the mood in the room here. Let's talk about AI and LLMs, which is huge. First of all, there is the new model, AI model from XAI, that shows how physical world interaction happens. And XAI launched their new model to show exactly how things can work around the physical world, whether it's a robot in a factory or walking down the street or building video games. This is what they do, and this is the same platform they use to train Tesla for FSD and so much more, which is under very deep security. So that was an exciting moment. In addition, Grokipedia goes live. Again, another meme, lots of memes today. A fun one at the end too. Twitter was turned into X. Wikipedia was just taken out by Grokipedia, which I've checked out. It's actually really good. It's really based and really truthful, which is refreshing. It's not one way or the other. It's very, very honest and based. And then some people believe Reddit is next for XAI to go after. And remember, we've spoken a lot about macro hard, basically processors building enterprise software that will run agents that will do everything for you. Yeah, that's coming too. So wild world, be aware of all the stuff that's coming. Be close to it, embrace it, leverage it in your lives. That's why we do these. And XAI, we are still hoping that the vote for the shareholder meeting coming up will approve shareholders, of course, saying they want to invest some of Tesla's money into XAI. But XAI just had a big $10 billion funding round at about a $200 billion valuation. So it's still going up in price. I don't know if it's going to keep on going up, but there's more talk of another AI coming up in a second. This is OpenAI. They have launched their AI native browser called Atlas, which is a Chromium-based browser deeply integrated with ChatGPT, so you can deploy that. And this will impact the whole browser wars with Google and Opera, if that even is a thing anymore. Brave. What is the name of the Microsoft one? Edge or something. This will be crazy, and there could come a day that everything goes to the edge and you just spin up your own browser to do stuff. It won't be like the way we work today in a browser world. Either way, it's interesting because I think it was Anthropic that wanted to build their own browser too, and I think they tried to buy one of them, but it didn't happen. And speaking of OpenAI too, guess what? They are trying to file for the biggest IPO ever in the United States. There was one in the Middle East, I think with Saudi Aramco, that was $1 trillion as well. But this will be historic if it happens. And they are trying to find a way to do an IPO and raise a ton of money to help build out all the infrastructure that they want to build out as well. The money flowing into the space is unprecedented. The value it creates is still a little bit questionable. So we'll see where all this goes. We'll talk more about AI and earnings in a second. This leads us into the Mag 7. What's going on now? I know a lot of people are frustrated with market performance in the last 12 months. I've had about 20 comments today, people saying, oh my God, it's been a lost year. Last year's been terrible. I don't know what to do. But I just want to share some data points here. This is a chart that I shared yesterday. A couple of things you can pull from this. One, the average return for the S&P 500 was 18%, which is actually really, really good. Also, the return on all the top AI plays we'll talk a bit about today. Tesla up 75% over the last 365 days. Google 59%. Nvidia 43%. Meta 30%. Microsoft 27%. Amazon 22%. These are all AI plays and they all beat the S&P 500. But remember, there are tons of professional money managers out there. Their whole goal is to beat the S&P 500. And only 19% of them actually do that with active funds. 81% don't actually make it. So remember, investing is a blood sport. It's very hard. I just want to remind people of that. But overall, it has been a very good year. Zoom back out. And by the way, the number 2 on the list is IBIT. Number 3 is Bitcoin. And again, these things fluctuate hour to hour, day to day, all based on real-time prices. A few hours before, those rankings were slightly different. Anyhow, moving on. Nvidia hits a $5 trillion market cap. Huge news. $5 trillion is bigger than most economies on the planet. But what's really crazy about this, and this cool chart, is how quickly they went from 4 trillion, the first time they hit 4 trillion, to hitting 5 trillion. Only took 78 days. They went to get to 1 trillion, took 6,138 days, and then to 2 trillion just 6 months after that, and then 3 trillion, 66 days. And now this extra trillion is 78 days. I mean, it's mad. As a kid growing up, 1 million was a lot. 1 billion was unthinkable. And now we're just throwing out trillions like it's nothing. It is just wild to think. Again, as I say, get exposure. This space is incredible. And Nvidia-OpenAI deal, a lot of talk about this. Strategic, some more details came to light. But basically, the deal includes a loan that guarantees from Nvidia to support OpenAI's data centers. It's all about being very tactical, locking in GPUs and money. You know, I know it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. Nvidia giving OpenAI $100 billion to come back and buy Nvidia chips. But hey, that's how it works at the end of the day. Now, Google smashed $100 billion in quarterly revenue. This is an incredible result. It's interesting to watch Google, actually. 5 years ago, their revenue, the first time they hit 50 billion in a quarter was 5 years ago. So technically, you could argue they only doubled in 5 years, which isn't very exciting in terms of revenue. But again, very hard to do. What is incredible about what Google is doing, and I'm kind of mad I missed it. I was looking at it just under 200, and I was like, I'll wait. But here they are. They're back, and they're pivoting hard to AI. Again, not only has the revenue doubled in 5 years, but the pivot to AI is at extreme speed. They're now issuing about 7 billion tokens per minute. First time I've ever seen that actual graphic on one of their notes. They have 650 million Gemini users, and revenue is up 34% year over year with a big $155 billion backlog. We heard from Oracle, they had a $500 billion backlog, but only at 1% margin. So that's not too good. And they got 300 million paid subscribers. I'm one of those. Anyway, moving on. Actually, I pay Google for a lot of different things. Meta, free cash flow. This thing did rattle markets and Meta did fall today. A lot of things are falling today, so no big surprise there. But, good news. Bitcoin rebounded up $1,300 after taking a poop today. That's okay. But Meta free cash flow fell from 43 billion to 20 billion, which is still a lot. But they're spending over 70 billion a year on AI. And people are worried because this is a raising, I think the stock fell 10%, approximately raising over $200 billion market value. And the real issue is it's eating into free cash flow and margins. And the question is, when do all these hyperscalers get returned back on their investments? This is the tricky part. And this is a cool chart as well. Shout out to Sanjay too. It shows you how the big tech has a cash flow problem. Last 12 months, free cash flow from Amazon, Google, Meta, and Microsoft has all dropped because they're throwing so much into CapEx, approximately $70 billion. And they're only making $3 billion on that $70 billion. And that's just revenue. Forget profits. Many of these things aren't even profitable. And that's what's kind of scary. So there will be casualties along the way in this AI world. There'll be a lot of companies that are already bubbles. Some of the energy plays you see out there, they will never make money. And they'll never get a return on their investment. And this is one of the things that is also quite alarming. Not for Nvidia, but some of the hyperscalers. And it's true as well that Meta has not done a very good job on AI. But maybe they will. They're doing some other interesting things we'll come to in a second. And the Tesla killer, BYD, you know, even heads of auto industries are saying, oh, BYD is going to kill Tesla. Well, guess what? BYD, shout out to AJ for this beautiful chart, lost so far this year $10.3 billion. Tesla made $4 billion in the last quarter. These guys are down nearly over 10 billion in 3 quarters so far this year. This is not good. They're burning cash and they're not even paying their suppliers. Warren Buffett looks like he got out at the right time. Another company that did some killer earnings, this is Microsoft. Their revenue beat expectations by about 2 billion, earnings per share about 370 versus 367, net income 27.7 billion. I want to point you to something though. They made net profit of 27.7 billion dollars on only 77.7 billion in revenue. That's 5 sevens. It's only 1 2. 77.7 billion in revenue, but nearly 30 billion is pure profit. I think that's outrageous. And their intelligent cloud is 30.9. And you can see the way they frame things. They got the Microsoft Office and business productivity and LinkedIn all in one bundle. It's like a three-legged stool almost. Then they got their intelligent cloud, which is about to surpass the Office, etc. And then personal computing and Xbox and gaming and stuff is now becoming very small. But the future will be their intelligent cloud. I do expect that to surpass the rest. And hopefully it won't eat too much into free cash flows, but Microsoft is also a beast, a money spinner. And what you could find, you could pry out of the Microsoft earnings is, if you do a little reverse engineering, OpenAI lost about $11.5 billion in a single quarter. Annualize that, that's nearly $50 billion. So again, OpenAI is not profitable, nowhere near it. They're burning a ton of cash. And the question is who will win. And in fact, this reminds me, I forgot to add one slide. It was Grok in the latest test, benchmarked against everything else. Grok is still the best from XAI. But maybe there is one company that I believe could catch up, and that is Google. But we'll see if that actually happens. Next, we'll talk about chips and some of the chip news, because this is big. Meta, even though they're losing the AI game, they created something called a free transformer, which I had to get a little help getting an explanation on what this is. But it breaks the old rules of how transformers work. And instead of forcing a model to only predict word by word, they added random hidden variables called latent variables inside of it. It's like a secret plan or inner thought within the AI. So it can generate stuff as it goes, like almost predicting what you're thinking. And this is important because this brings about smarter reasoning, performs better logic and coding tests as well, at much less cost, using less computational power, and it beats models that are even larger, meaning it's more efficient. So we'll see where this goes with Meta, but they have that breakthrough too. And back to Tesla. Tesla Cortex now has 81,000 H100 GPUs, and they'll probably get to 100,000 pretty soon. And this is what powers Tesla FSD, Robotaxi programs, and Tesla Optimus. Again, a huge amount of compute just dedicated towards that. And when you hear other car companies saying, oh yeah, we're going to build our self-driving. Yeah, they haven't even bought one GPU yet, nor have the developers that can even turn this stuff on. Never mind code whatever to it. Wild. So ignore all that. And Tesla's expansion is explosive with all the stuff that they're doing. I won't go into detail about this, but the point is they have it licked. They have solved autonomy in self-driving cars. And anybody with version 14.1.4 is blown away. Everybody. It's already crazy. So that's going wide right now. I still haven't gotten mine because I got a Cybertruck. They're always delayed in getting those out, but hopefully that'll come. And back to what I started. The point was everybody's frustrated with the market. Shout out to Raoul Paul, friend of the channel. He promised me a banana zone. It hasn't come. Will it come? I don't know. A couple of weeks, guys asked the question, what are the odds that a bear market's here? I said 30% chance. I said 70% chance we're still in the bull market. So we don't know. We won't know until a little bit after the fact. When you see things like the optimized trend turning negative on the monthly, then you know we're in a bear market. So we'll see. And we're far away from that happening right now. But either way, AI, have your exposure. Crypto, have your exposure. I don't know if we're out of the woods yet, but we'll hold tight and see what happens. Moonvember is historically the best month for markets, for crypto. And we'll see if that happens this time around. Again, everything is different this time. Everything. It's actually used to be refreshing when things are different. And now we're waiting for our Uptembers and Uptobers and Moonvembers. We don't know if we're going to get them. But with that, I just want to say a big thank you as well to Martello, DCA Broccoli, DBF 430 Brayman, and of course, Sean D and T&D Tesla. You guys rock. Have a good night, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. tomorrow's Friday Fire. Yes. And tomorrow a glass of wine as well. Good night.